Hello, my name is Timothy Michael Blewitt, and I am an actor in Los Angeles.
Should we say it together? Is that corny?
Yeah, might as well say it.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Hayden Garrett.
And I'm Yannick Ehre.
We're with Indieknot Films, and
We
haven't made it yet.
That's stupid. Let's just take turns.
And we
Haven't made it yet. Yeah.
Yeah. A very, very unflattering title, but I'm proud to be a part of this.
Totally.
When I saw the title, I was like, I haven't made it. That's not me. But yeah, so making it for me, it changes, like it vacillates and it changes with the times and everything. But in this moment, making it for me is more about being able to present meaningful work to someone, to strangers that I don't know, and just say like, this is what I do and I'm proud of this and here it is. I'm a big fan of Marcus Aurelius, and in his meditations book, he talks about like doing meaningful work for society, living your life to the best of your human ability and creating and giving back to this network of community that you're a part of. So for me as an actor, I'm constantly thinking about like, how am I serving my community? Entertainment is wonderful. Am I teaching? Am I also giving back in a meaningful way, like a moral? Am I providing to the moral code of society? So for me, making it is really about how am I getting into giving back to society through this gift and this technique and this art that I love so much.
You do look like a stoic.
Yeah, thank you. This is a pandemic look, by the way. Like, I used to be, like, when Yannick met me, I was clean shaven, short cropped hair. Like, I could fit right into the
I don't even remember it.
United States.
You've become the stoic.
I have become this. Yeah. And it's interesting, and that ties into work as well. It was strange because when I left LA during the pandemic, I went back to Chicago and was figuring out like what the heck was going on in the world, like so many of us were. Clean shaven, short hair. And when I came back to LA in 2021, nobody recognized me. And it was the strangest thing. Like, casting directors that I knew who I was by name saw my image and were just like, oh, we don't know who you are. This is not Tim Blewitt. This is I don't know who you are. So my work, in a sense, reset, and I like could not get a job to save my life for the longest time. And then I had to like reintroduce myself with this new look, which is interesting in terms of being an actor. Like, I'm the same person, but a different image. People, casting directors and films or whomever are just like, what do we do with you now? How do we brand you now?
So crazy how a beard can change like what you are to Hollywood.
Yeah.
And the entertainment.
It fascinates me to this day about, a beard and long hair.
Right, as if you couldn't just shave and be a different person again. They're like, nope, the only beard people now.
That's right, yeah. And interestingly, I do a lot of, like, I'm on very successful film sets all the time in the capacity of a background actor. And I have had people, hair, makeup, wardrobe, who see me, like, they have miscast me, and I show up on the film set, and they're like, oh, well, this takes place in the 1940s, so we're going to need to shave your beard and cut your hair. And I just tell them, like, I'm so sorry, no, that's not happening. And then they'll ask, they'll be like, well, for the film, it's really important. And I'm like, well, for my image, my brand, what I'm cultivating, it's really important for me not to. And then they'll just send me home. They sign my voucher, and I get a full day's pay, and then they say, thank you very much.
That's incentive to further
show
up with beards.
To keep the
Even
ruse,
if you shave,
Yeah.
Just have a fake beard in hand, just in case. You're like, I don't really want to work today.
Whatever they need, you don't have it.
Right, exactly. That's an interesting character right there.
After you get booked, though, you got to make sure you booked first.
Yeah, that's key. Yeah, you got to get booked. You gotta get, and because I'm part of the union, like that is stoic law. Just like if you're booked, if it says booked, you are in. Show up with your fake beard, with your short hair, whatever is not needed for the day. You're good.
Tell us a little bit more about that process of like getting into the union. Was that like an intention you had, or just kind of stumbled upon?
Yeah. So it's interesting because there's two camps of people, right? Like there are some people that swear by not joining the union, and they're like, you will never work again a day in your life. Like don't join. There's so much non-union work, which there is, and I'm 50-50 on this. Like I don't like the fact that there is so much non-union work because I feel like I don't know. This is our profession, right? And we're trained, we're skilled, we're part of the union. I feel like there should be incentive to join the union, in terms of job security and stuff like that. And there is partially, but I don't know. There's just two different camps. But I always wanted to be a part of the union. I think because of the prestige of it. So I grew up watching the Oscars on TV, like in little home in Chicago, and just like whenever it was Oscar night, my mom would make like a meal that was kind of based on whatever the nominations were. So when Saving Private Ryan was, we drank like coffee out of like I don't know, like army mug kind of a things, like canteens, and we had chicken legs for Shakespeare in Love. So it was like a big to do, and when I grew up watching this and thinking like I want to be a part of that. Like I'm performing theater in my high school and sort of devouring acting and theater however I can, but I really wanted to join the union, and there is a process in which you can do it through background acting, getting the union vouchers when they don't have enough union people working on that day, and that's how I ultimately joined. Which interestingly, I was not proud of that because people are like, oh well, you're just a background actor. But Jenna Fisher is also proud of the fact that that's how she joined the union. Couldn't get a commercial to save her life, did background acting, joined the union, and then X amount of years later worked on The Office and is now infamous worldwide.
Totally.
Do you come from an actor family, Tim, or?
No, I don't, and that has brought up a lot of tumultuous conversations because my father is an attorney and my mother is a teacher, and they don't understand what this is. So when I tell them like I need to keep myself available, I can't work a regular job. They're just like, oh my god, like what is he doing? He's throwing his life away. He's not working. What is he? But the reality is that I'm constantly working and constantly, like if I'm at a museum, I'm observing how other artists are putting their heart and soul into something. If I'm in a conversation, sometimes I'm observing how the person is talking. When I go to the post office, I'm improvising because I've never met this person in my life. And so I say, hello, I'd like to mail something. And we have little banter, chit chat. But I don't come from an actor family, and it's difficult sometimes.
It sounds like you've had a lot of wide variety of acting experience. Was LA kind of always the goal from that? You've talked about kind of improvising. I've heard things about clowning, which would be fun to talk about.
Yeah, so interestingly, I have always regretted that I felt like Chicago did not want me in some capacity, which is very sad for me. And that might be my own journey or whatever, but I felt like being there, I really wanted to be a part of the Second City and the comedy team and the improvisation and the theater world and Steppenwolf and Goodman Theater and everything that was going on there. And I could not for the life of me break in a timeline that made sense to me. So I've done some wonderful gigs in terms of like being at the Red Orchid Theater, which is Michael Shannon's theater company, and being on the Second City stage and like, training with them and working with like world-class improvisers. But it got to a point where I was just like, I have bigger aspirations and bigger goals. And I think that is happening in Los Angeles and New York City. And I don't want to have another brutal winter that Chicago is known for. Also, everything that I know is theater. I want to challenge myself and see if I can learn film, break into film, and understand what film is. So it seemed like a much bigger challenge, and just, I don't know, everything about LA was sort of grabbing me and prompting me to move here. And I'm so glad that I did. I think I made the right choice.
I know you said you were taking some classes and went a little bit into your background with like your education with acting. Have you done any classes down here? You know, there's the Groundlings. I think I'm going to try to start some classes there myself because it just seems really fun. Second City, or no, UCB, not Second City. And I mean, you're obviously a great improviser. We're huge fans. The video we made, your part was awesome.
Thank you.
But yeah, have you done any of those classes?
I haven't, and I'll tell you why. I'm what you would call a classically trained actor, right? So 4 years in a Bachelor of Fine Arts program at the University of Illinois at Chicago. Classes at Second City. I almost completed the program at IO, formerly IO in Chicago. I don't think they exist anymore. And then I did 2 years of like a master's program in Europe, Brussels, Belgium, in a school that was largely like neoclassical mime movement theater. So by the time I moved to Los Angeles, I was like, I'm done with classes. I don't want to take classes. I want to work. I knew I wasn't done learning, but the learning I wanted to do was in the trenches. And that's how I found my way into background acting, because it was like, I can get hired to do some background acting and be on professional film sets and learn and absorb. Even though I'm not in front of the camera, I'm still learning what a film set is. What is the lingo of camera, that all of this stuff. And so now, like, I finally feel that I've hit my capstone in that capacity. And I'm ready, after 4 years, I'm ready to graduate from background acting and like push full throttle into bigger opportunities.
So I know what neoclassical miming is, but for the listeners, kind of explain what that is and what you did with that.
Yeah, so there was a guy named Marcel Marceau who was huge, like just the biggest mime. He's the reason why whenever you hear the word mime, you think of white face, red suspenders, black and white striped shirt. Like that was Marcel Marceau, and he kind of revolutionized mime and like brought it to the world, because I think at that time TV became a thing, and so he was doing like miming. And now mime, just like every other art in the world, evolves. And so it is not just a guy stuck in a box, doing his thing. Like it has evolved into everything. Like space is a big area to start when you're breaking down mime. Of like, you would not walk into a wall because that wall occupies space. So you would get up to it, walk around it, and then go on your way. And so the neoclassical mime is just really about taking that space and applying it to the world as the world has evolved.
That's super cool.
How is that different to normal miming? I don't know anything about miming, but that's what I pictured normal miming was.
Yeah, I mean, mime, so mime, I think, comes from a Greek word called mimesis, which is literally imitation. As children, we are all mimes because we're imitating our parents and the adults and the bigger people in our lives. So we're literally watching, and it's how we learn language, and it's how we laugh, and it's how we learn to walk. So that is mime. Neoclassical mime is more of like, you understand that this is something human and innate, and you are amplifying it to a certain degree within your culture and your understanding and your artistic prowess to make it more of an entertaining form.
Okay, so when most people think mime, they're really actually thinking neoclassical miming.
Yeah, mm-hmm. Yeah, it has evolved. So like, Marcel Marceau, like whenever someone says mime, instantly his image pops up in their mind, but it's so much more than that. And so my unannounced passion is to try to get people to understand, like, mime is so much more. Please, understand and love and fall in love. It was something that I didn't even know that I was going to fall in love with until I did it for 2 years in a French-speaking conservatory.
Oh my God, that was going to be my next question. Why did you think that was going to be the next move to do clowning essentially in a country, in a different country where you don't speak the language? I mean, I'm very happy you did.
So it comes down, there's one woman, her name is Paola Coletto, and she was number 40 out of 40 people that trained specifically with this guy named Jacques Lecoq, who had the Lecoq School in France, and he re-revolutionized mask work and clowning and commedia dell'arte and the buffon, like these grand styles of theater that had largely been forgotten in Europe. And she did the pedagogical year, so she went through 2 years with him, and then the pedagogical teaching year with him. And I just had the pleasure and the honor of her coming to Chicago, to my university, and she was directing a commedia dell'arte play. And at that time I was a junior, and it was in the springtime. So I was kind of like checking out. I was like, I'm a junior, theater, like whatever. The way that she challenged me on stage and the joy that like came from her style of teaching and her understanding of commedia dell'arte, I was like, I told her, I said, I have never felt so alive on stage in years as I've felt now through your teaching and your direction. And I want to learn how to bring this joy back into my life. And she told me, and she was like, if you want to learn this, don't go to the school that I went to because Jacques Lecoq is dead. His pedagogy is dead. You need to go to a little tiny private school in Brussels, Belgium, and study specifically under this guy, Lassad Saidi, and your questions will be answered. Like what you're seeking, you will find. So I was like, okay, all right, well that's it. Let me go to this school and figure it out. And I think it was about 3 years later, 3 or 4 years later, I did that. Because I still had to finish my degree at school, and then I wanted to stay in Chicago and see if I could like make it. I haven't made it yet, but I wanted to see if I could make it. And then after a couple of years, I was like, there must be more. I remember Paola telling me about the school. Let me go and see what it is.
That's such an oddly specific pitch. It's like almost suspicious. She's like, you got to go to this place. There's 32 other people going. And all your answers will be, all your questions will be answered.
But it was amazing. Like that. If there was ever any question about like divine inspiration or like the universe conspiring to help someone out, for me that was that. It changed my whole life.
Yeah, it seems kind of like fun and exciting almost to have such a specific goal that somebody just gives you. It's like almost tempting when whenever you stumble in movies, that's often the start, something that's ridiculous, but it's like so specific. And I think a lot of people are always looking for goals or guidance, and when somebody gives you something like that, even if it's ridiculous, I think we just have a tendency to gravitate towards it. So I'm very, it's inspiring that you did it. I don't think a lot of people would have done that.
Yeah, thank you. I even now to this day, I'm like, if I was tasked with going to do that, I wouldn't do that. When I did it, I was 24 years old. I was naive. I didn't understand. I felt, I knew I wasn't invincible, but I know that I felt that I was invincible. And there was just, it was like the perfect combination of being able to go and do this incredible thing that now a wiser man.
Now a wiser man, how has this wise man used this kind of experience with your career as an actor?
Now, specifically in film, it comes down to the specificity and the rigor of what film demands. I mean, we're talking like, a day of filming can easily and almost always does go 10, 12, 14 hours. The mental space and the rigor and the specificity that I put myself in to do that school, which is like you show up, you do something, you do it again, you do it better, you fail, you do it again. Very, very Beckettian, very Samuel Beckett-like, of just do again, do better, fail better, try again, do again. And I find myself in filming capacity that's what it takes, and you never know. Sometimes the lighting is wrong. Sometimes it's a technical difficulty. Sometimes your actor forgets their lines. But if I can show up and be ready and be on all the time, instantaneously, without fail, over the course of 14 hours, then the product will be good.
I appreciate that mindset. I often kind of relate my filming experience with language learning because I studied Chinese throughout college and actually studied abroad in Nanjing. And I noticed once I got to China, I have no fucking clue what I'm actually saying. I didn't know how to ask, like, how to go to the bathroom. I didn't know if someone would tell me how much money a certain thing was. And like, I got this much money. Was that going to be enough? And
Everyone's like, yeah.
everyone's like, yeah, that's enough. No change. No, people were really nice. They gave me change and whatnot. But it wasn't until I was making mistakes and asking someone where's the bathroom in a wrong way, where the person was like, taking those risks and constantly doing, because my experience of studying before was like watch a movie or like write in my notepad, and it wasn't actually implementing the practice. And now that I'm finding I'm at a young age right now with filmmaking, I'm finding that I'm learning more just by making mistakes, having the lens cap on, all those kind of things, instead of just watching a movie and being like, oh, that's good inspiration. Like I'll do something like that in the future. But now I'm actually doing it. And once the mistake happens, like, okay, cool. I know that's a mistake.
Yeah. And that's the biggest thing to understand, I think. Like everyone, even Scorsese, is constantly making mistakes, but he's putting himself out there. Like if you don't put yourself out there and you're afraid of mistakes, it's never going to happen.
I like that, equating that kind of to language. That's definitely how I learned English, was just like, I didn't learn any. I had it for 4 years before I moved, and then coming here, and I didn't know anything. I knew like hello because I hated language, but then I was just forced to do it because you're just surrounded by it, and in a similar way, surrounding yourself with film projects and film people that all don't really know what they're doing, but are trying it.
And like in regards to language, that was me when I was in this conservatory in Belgium, of just like all the classes were taught in French. And Paula had told me, go there and study in French because you will not be able to learn from your head. So like if you want to learn mime, you're going to have to use everything except your intellect to understand. And that's exactly what mime is, And so it was unbearable at times because it was mistake after mistake after mistake. I felt like a stupid little child. But the technique that I learned from that, invaluable. You cannot put a price on the technique that I grabbed by not learning and not understanding from my intellect.
This is such a wise woman.
Yeah, she was. She's amazing. If anyone ever gets the chance to work with her, she's incredible.
I want her to tell me where I need to go next.
Belgium.
Belgium. Just like Belgium. Conservatory for mimes.
He secretly has like stock in a school or something, and it's like, yeah, go to this school. I got 20%.
Right, yeah.
Part of this podcast is we kind of want to share the underbelly of working in the industry, working in Hollywood. Do you have any kind of experience of going in as like a bright-eyed kid and kind of coming out a
jaded man?
A jaded man. Can we say jaded now? Is that a thing?
Why would I?
We'll talk about it later.
Oh.
Have you had kind of experiences of like, oh dang, this is part of my job as well?
Yeah, I think big time. I mean, I don't think there's a single person that has ever moved to Los Angeles that has not undergone this thing that you're talking about. I'm not immune to that either. Like I showed up with that mentality. Maybe a little less bright-eyed and bushy-tailed than others because I had traveled around the world and I had been working in Chicago as an actor, and so like I understood that you have to pay your dues in a certain capacity. But I will say that background acting, doing that is very, very humbling. There's a term that I love by the poet and the author Robert Bly. His book Iron John which talks about like it's a book for men, and it's about like ancient stories that help men get from different stages of their life into the king or the man that they're supposed to become. And he calls it ashes work, when you're like working in the fire pit, and you're lowering yourself so low to be working and humbling and like figuring out how you can rise up from the ashes. Background acting is ashes work. And so I've spent the majority of my time in Los Angeles doing ashes work up until this point in time. And now I recognize like that's not for me anymore. I am so proud that I have paid my dues in that way. Because really, like, it's an unspoken truth that the crew on a film set does not like actors. Like I've heard crew members refer to actors as meat puppets. And wow. And it's so visceral. None of us would have jobs without the other. Like, why do you have to be like that? And PAs on work, production assistants, some of them will just really lash out and yell and scream at background actors and treat us inhumanely. And it's like, wow, like we are human, like we are not just a meat puppet. We are not just some entity. Like we are a human being that wakes up in the morning, gets to set on time, is fulfilling a job, essentially. So I have seen that. I've also seen really amazingly welcoming crew members and PAs and people that understand that we're all in this together. So it's different, it varies, but I have seen that underbelly, and my hope is that we can get to a place as artists and people just living in LA where we understand the symbiosis of what we're doing together.
Yeah, we're all just trying to live.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing. Like I've literally thought about this and journaled about it and written about it. Like there would be no movie without background actors. Like you would just have 50 to 70 scenes of main actor, and then that's it.
Yeah.
But we're building a world, and we're inviting an audience in, and we're making it realistic. Like you literally would not have a television show or a movie without everyone working on it. So why people choose to not acknowledge that, I'll never know, but that happens for sure.
As an example, how much are you allowed to share the project you're currently working on?
So what I can say is that it is Zack Snyder's newest film, and it's for Netflix, and I'm playing a villager, and because of the premise of the film, I'm on set Monday through Friday, basically every day, and I have been for the last 2 months. Right now, interesting hot goss, it is currently too hot in Santa Clarita where they're filming it to film. So work has been canceled this week because it's like 110 degrees, and so like people have fainted on this project. Like I've been in the tent where people have fainted and they've been like, "Oh my god. Everyone clear out, get them some water, get them some space." So people are fainting and on this project work. And yeah, but we're doing it, like we're making an epic
Iron
film.
Johns. I love a good terrible set story. Those are my favorite to hear from other people, as well as I got some good ones of my own, but I'd love to hear yours. I've probably heard some of them, but do you have somebody fainting is pretty good, but do you have any good background?
Yeah, I think I'm pretty fortunate of not having too many horror stories, but the biggest thing that comes to mind is the cattle calls. Whenever you have 435 extras that are just you're pushed, and you're pushed into a changing tent, and it's always weird people, you're among the dregs of society, and you've got your clowns and you've got your just weird weirdos. That's probably the worst. That is, and it's so bad that people that do this kind of work specifically tell their agents or whomever is booking them, I will not work a cattle call. That's how bad it is, that people understand, oh yeah, this is gonna be a bad one.
In this day and age, should we even be calling it a cattle call, or
no?
A PA told you that.
It just stuck.
It's horrible. I mean, oh god, yeah, it's just disgusting. The the industry needs to change and needs to revolutionize itself and use different language, and they're moving in that direction. Like even the word extra, you don't hear that as much as you would 50 years ago. Now we're considered background artists, so it is moving in that direction. But God, cattle calls.
That brings me back. I did one with 1,000 people once. It was terrible.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
Everyone got sick. It was a musician who, it was like a massive 2-story theater venue thing. Like,
Was it at the Orpheum?
The Orpheum. I did that with you potentially.
I was there, yeah.
Yeah. Did you get sick from that? I got sick from that. Everybody I knew that went got sick.
Wow. No, I didn't get sick from that. That's interesting.
Post-COVID, I guess you can't even imagine that many people like that they would do that. But yeah, with that with that crazy artist musician dude who like, that was just a weird vibe.
So we're gonna do a slight shameless plug. Let's talk about you were a character, Morten.
The Morgue Man.
The Morgue Man. This is in the corpse photographer video that we made. Just discussed a little bit about what you thought about playing that character and the experiences you had.
It was weird. It was a weird script. But the thing that I liked about it was this, when I showed up on the day and I said, like, I've got this, I'm cultivating this sort of Eastern European accent, this guy with like black eyes, kind of, doesn't care about anything or anyone except his work, which is corpses. And Hayden, I was talking to you at the premiere about how I was inspired by my barber, who Wolf's Men's Grooming. It's the only place I'll go to get my beard trimmed. 3rd and Fairfax.
Another shameless plug.
Another shameless plug. He's not this character, but he has that air to him of just like, my work is beards and grooming, and here's a coffee, and I'm gonna smoke a cigarette now. Just wait a minute, and then I'll be back, and then I'll trim you, and then And so I really like. I love Khalid. This is gonna be fun. Of like, how can I translate someone who loves his job so much, and it's all about corpses.
That is cool, and I like that's part of acting where you're like taking from experiences, but at the same time you're not copying. You're using this to better justify this character's persona.
Exactly. His means to an end. For Morten, he's an artist, and he's working with an artist who is in the limelight now, Ingrid. And so he's like, I this is what I do. I grab these images, these best corpses for the artist, and I'm an artist, and she's an artist, and it's fun.
Yeah, no, I mean, we were both obviously huge fans of your character in that. We're thinking maybe we'll do like a spin-off or something of that. And very strange that Channel 101 was like so weirded out by death. I think that's kind of fascinating in itself.
That was an interesting experience to be at. Like Hayden and I were there, and then just like it's a strange sketch, but in that capacity, like everything was weird that we were being shown that night. And so the reception of that piece, people just didn't get it, for whatever reason. So I am proud. There's a part of me that is proud that we came in 10th place out of 10.
Because that means we did something different. We stood out.
Edgy.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the short films that you have done and like these like stuff, kind of similar stuff as the one we just did, the photographer one, if you have done stuff like that.
Yeah, so largely I collaborate with a really good friend of mine, Paul Manganello, and we met at this little tiny school in Brussels, Belgium, studying neoclassical mime and clown and everything like that. And he's from Detroit, and I'm from Chicago, and we both moved to LA like around the same time. And we were like, we both have very special skills and abilities that, a fraction of the people living in LA have. Why don't we collaborate and make things together? So the kind of stuff that we do is more like art house film, like very, like it is not mainstream whatsoever. Usually when we create a project, we'll show up at his apartment in West Hollywood, and we'll have coffee and we'll have snacks and we'll just talk, and we'll say like, what's going on in your life right now? And he'll talk about it, and he'll ask me what's going on in your life. And from that, we'll develop a theme or a story or an idea. And largely we just meet up week after week just talking about the theme, the idea, what we want to explore, and then we'll move into a physical improvisational stage where we'll move and we'll make the other person act and react, and we'll push each other and touch each other, and then we'll move it into a dialogue thing of like, all right, well, what would you be saying now? What might your character be saying? And we flesh these things out over the course of half a year, let's say, and then we just film it. And we usually we get it all done in 1 day, or we get it all done in 2 days. It's like theater, and then captured on film in an improvisational stage, and then the editing process, Paul does all the editing, and it just becomes this piece that we're like, wow, this is amazing.
It's the most Tim project I've ever heard expressed.
I would love to see it. That sounds so that's like acting at its rawest. Form.
Yeah. I'll have to share with you guys. We had a piece called The Bouquet, which we're very proud of. We don't know if we want to enter it into the film festival circuit or if we just want to like put it on Vimeo or what have you. And then there's another piece that we're currently editing right now. Same vein, very improvisational about perfection and addiction. Can you ever grasp the meaning of life?
Wow.
Big topic.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, send us the link so we can tag it in this.
Yeah, we'll give the listeners
I need to
listen.
See what this looks like.
Yeah, we'll do.
So kind of wrapping things up, say there's a 16-year-old Tim looking to pursue acting. What are some kind of wise words of wisdom you can share to this person to get to where you are right now?
Don't take anything personally, I think would be a big one. Whatever anybody says, whatever happens, don't take it personally, and don't stop. Keep going. There will be setbacks, inevitably. They are happening, and they're going to continue to happen. But the journey is so fruitful. Don't stop. It's beautiful.
This is probably something that would live at the beginning of this, but I did want to kind of explain the title just for a second, because it is kind of a crass title to invite people for a podcast that you're inviting your acting friends to. But I think the idea is it doesn't have to be, when I thought of it, to be like a negative thing, because just by the human nature, we're designed to never be content with wherever we're at. So it's more of an invitation to discuss subjectively what is your own definition of having made it, or what are you even trying to make? You know, because no matter where you are, Brad Pitt he's unhappy. Brad Pitt's unhappy with he's got things that, well, maybe not unhappy, but like he's got things that he hasn't made it to yet. Mm-hmm. So that idea for the title, I think it was born out of my friend being really concerned about her career, as we all are. It's not supposed to be a dig at anybody, obviously, but that's kind of the thinking behind the title.
The way I see it, it's Denis Villeneuve, the Blade Runner, Dune director. Anytime someone asks him, "Oh, what's your favorite film in your filmography?" he's like, "My next film is my favorite film," and I think that's what truly being an artist is all about. It's not really about what you're doing now. It's about all the little things are going into your head, being like, "Oh, that would be cool to do next time."
Yeah. That's it. You know, that's it. Like, honestly, I can say the hardest part about being an actor is other people's expectations. That's my own personal journey with it, and I need to come to better terms with that and not have that be such a force in my life of other people's expectations involving my feelings of success or happiness. But yeah, I mean, when you get caught up in the spirit of artistic creation, there's nothing better, and it's just you, and like you're being your best to your best ability. That's what it's all about.
Well, that sounds great. I love hearing that.
Yeah. So well spoken, Tim.
Yeah, just I'm in a very good headspace in terms of like pursuing dreams and believing in yourself, and I that's the biggest thing I'd like any of the listeners to take away from this. Just like whatever your dream is, it can become a reality. Don't quit. Believe in yourself. be confident, and double down on your own abilities, because you will win.
Well, thank you so much, Tim, for being on here. If you want to see Tim, you can see him as the Morgue Man, the corpse photographer, as well as
check the latest
other links. I would love to see more neoclassical mime being a more normalized in LA. I can't wait to see where that is in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And
stay tuned for more Tim content also on our end.
Totally.
We got to get more Tim into our stuff.
Yeah, would love to work with you guys. I love what you guys are doing. I really love the fact that you are unafraid to do it and to put it out there. And that's why I'm happy to work with you anytime, because we're just creating things and putting them out there and being like, do you like it? Because we like it.
10th place? All right.
Well, thank you so much, Tim.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tim.
All right, have a good one.
So, that was awesome. I didn't know about the neoclassical mime, or that was actually a thing. That was my acting skills. I was acting like I knew it.
Oh, okay.
I actually didn't.
I was like, wow, okay.
Yeah, but that's
You
super
play that
cool.
off
Yeah,
really well.
I'm an actor myself. What can I say?
Tomorrow it's going down. Yeah, that was great. Yeah, I love the thing with his friend where he's like, I was 100% serious, total Tim thing. The thing where he's like, just sits and drinks coffee, and then it like evolves into him just moving into like anything Tim does is always like, just the act of him doing is like already so interesting. You could record it and it'd be a finished product.
And constantly like seeing how you can get this mundane task into like a masterpiece of a work of art.
Yeah.
It's like, what the heck?
Or like the way he was describing like how his life has become acting, the way he was saying he was improvising with his, a bank teller or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, it's a very Tim way to describe a normal conversation.
Well,
I love it.
He's a truly
zoned in.
fascinating man, and I can't wait to see his future and all the things that he's going to be doing.
Yeah.
All the things that he has done at
Right.
TikTok. He's mentioning he's going to make a TikTok account. So all you kids out there, 13 and below, or who actually does TikTok? Is that?
I think you pretty much nailed it. It's 13 below, and then there's me.
And then Yonder.
I'm on it too. That's creepy. We'll cut that out.
Yeah. Cool.
But also, I was thinking that this feels like, especially with such a crazy talented guy as Tim, the autobiography or what you would read in an autobiography, the cute little stories of people that have made it. I'm reading the Tom Segura book right now, and these are the kind of things that he's talking about in his book that you hear 20 years after he's made it, 10 years after he's made it. So this is almost like a cool little archive, or almost like documentary footage of somebody that isn't famous yet.
Yeah.
And it's kind of exciting.
It is cool, and I just can't wait to see more Tim.
Tim.
The fact that he actually wants to do our stupid videos is like, yeah, okay.
He's so trained, he's so articulate.
I know, it's like,
and he's like,
we'll give you food.
I write like a,
That's the best we can offer.
I also love when I sent him the goofy little script for the corpse one, when he was like, I can give you a morgue director. Oh, he's just so in the zone, it's like, not him. Like, I can, I could be the morgue director. No, he can give you one.
That was Tim Blewitt, and he's trying to make it in Hollywood.
And in a lot of ways, he's made it already.
He's made it already. So thank you all so much for listening, and join next time. More actors, anybody who hasn't made it. We're gonna.
And nobody's made it.
Nobody's made it, but
everybody's made it.
I mean, but we're not gonna get like Brad Pitt or a Matt Damon in here anytime soon. Yeah.
Yeah, we will.
Okay, we will. Then we haven't made it.
We got to figure out how to like ideologically tie this up in a way. Are we committing to there's no way to make it, or
I think it's whatever works.
Nobody can make it
in the moment.
But as the thesis for this,
I hope we don't have to explain ourselves every episode of being like, so what we mean by this.
No, yeah.
Yeah. But I do see it as like it's what we haven't made yet.
Yeah.
Like we haven't made it. So it's kind of talking about where we came from.
Maybe it's also kind of in the way of the quote you said, where we just haven't made the next thing yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think as far as like an ending statement, I mean, we could do very improvisational,
Yeah.
but I would like to have some like kind of thing of like,
Yeah.
so that was Tim, and I'm excited to see what he hasn't made yet. Yeah.
Done.
Yeah. Was that?
I think
Was that
you should do it again, but I think
more
we should
confident?
use the version you just did because it's kind of funny the way you just pulled out your ass. But do another clean one.
That was Tim Blewitt, and I can't wait to see what he hasn't made yet. Yeah.
Thank you for listening. I thought it was pretty good for the first one.
Yeah, he was.
Tim is so well spoken. This dirt is all from my feet.
Oh no.